let's talk about the engine. This engine was built by the Deep Orange 9 cohort in one night, based on stories that we've heard, where they stayed up all night and they threw everything together. And that was a very impressive feat for them, and the engine ran and the engine drove the car. Except the engine never produced nearly as much power as it was supposed to. So one of the things that was given to us as the Purple Garage when we decided we were going to start this was we need to figure out why the engine is not producing any power, and it can't idle. It sounds terrible at idle. Here are some of the things that we found when we took it all the way down. So I guess first, we took it all the way down to the block. So the pistons are out. Currently the rings are being washed. So the pistons are out. The next step is just for us to start tearing this thing down piece by piece, see if maybe there's a problem with the head gasket. Hopefully we don't have to get the pistons out, but if we do, we know some people.
Hopefully we don't have to get the pistons out.
When we took the head gasket off, we noticed, now this has been cleaned up from how it originally was, there was a significant head gasket leak over here in cylinder number 4. So this is actually corrosion on the side of the block, this dark gray part that you can see here, and the corrosion continues all the way down both sides of the block. Tebow even found when he took the transmission apart, the transmission would bolt up right here, that the flange on the transmission casing, which is right here, was also corroded.
Hey, my name's Tebow. I've been working on the transmission. This is actually a 5-speed sequential transmission from Quaife. The block down here that attached to the engine is actually stock, but the uppercase is from Quaife, so it's a British company who specializes in racing transmissions like this. This one has had quite a bit of issues in the past. For instance, they blew the differential. We used to have a non-slip differential which completely blew, actually left a bunch of scratches inside of the casing. So this is just a stock diff. It works, but it's not as good for off-road especially, but this for now is fine. There was also a big problem with the reverse gear. We thought, and we were scared that the reverse gear might actually be blown, but it's not. It's right here, it's intact. The issue actually came from the clutch. The clutch was dragging, which caused that the reverse gear was not able to get in position and work properly. So I opened it completely. I've been cleaning the parts. I got in touch with the people from Quaife, see if they can help me out, see what was wrong with it. And they've been very helpful, actually. Yeah, we're hoping it won't be too expensive to fix. A few of the gears get actually chipped, which hopefully is not too big of a problem. Other than that, it's pretty good. It's a pretty cool system. You actually have a gear lever that the drivers push forwards or backwards, and this little actuator will move a rotating shaft right here, which will select the gears using these forks. So you have a fork, all 3 forks will move up and down, and it will actuate which gear you want to be in. So yeah, this is the transmission work. It's in progress and hopefully done soon.
There was no anti-corrosive additive inside the coolant. Those exist, but either somebody thought that they weren't important for this engine, or they just straight up forgot and filled it up with straight water, because all of the coolant passages are incredibly rusty. So you can see that here in the holes that are passing coolant between the block and the head, which would sit right above it. You can also see here really well in one of the coolant passages that's going from the engine to the external loop. That would involve the radiator and the heater core if this was a stock car, but not in this one. So those are 2 of the biggest problems we found. Another problem that we found is this engine could not be spun over by hand. So when you get the head off, there's no compression building anymore. You get just the pistons here. You should be able to grab the flywheel and pretty easily spin it. And we had to put a bolt on the other side and put all of our strength on it with a breaker bar and then a pipe on that just to get it to start spinning. Something else that you can see really well here, this is a plug we took out of the side of the coolant system that's all filled up with that that nice rusty coolant and oil mix, which is the other thing about a head gasket leak. Is that once your head gasket starts leaking, you have coolant and oil that are mixing, forming what is known in engine communities as the forbidden milkshake, which turns this nice frothy caramel latte color that we always hate to see, and we did find when we drained some of the top part of the coolant system. Now this is a K20 engine. It's a Honda engine that has the legendary VTEC system, and this is what a VTEC camshaft looks like. It has two sort of low profile lobes on the outside and then one in the middle. And there should be a mechanism over here on the rockers where at high speeds, as oil pressure builds up, it locks all of these parts together, and then the whole system starts running on the high lift cam. But if the oil pressure is low, then the system disconnects a pin and it only runs on these low lift cams. And there are plenty of wonderful animations online to sort of teach you how that works better than the explanation I just gave. But what we discovered is that the mechanism is full-time fixed. So there's no way to disconnect or reconnect the low lift and high lift cams, and we're always running on the high lift cam, which is not very favorable for idle. The other thing that we discovered is that the amount of valve overlap, these cams can be manually adjusted just a little bit to the left and to the right. We found the overlap was adjusted to be as small as possible, and now that's something you would do if your engine wasn't idling very well. Most of the other engine parts looked pretty good. They're generally reusable. The crankshafts look really good. The pistons look really good. We have really nice ARP connecting rod bolts, so those we're actually probably going to reuse, even though most of the stock ones you're really not supposed to reuse. But this is all the rings. All the rings came off looking really nice, and these are the journal bearings for the connecting rod themselves. We'll probably replace those too, though they don't look nearly as bad as the crankshaft bearings. So hopefully there should be some really good content coming soon of us rebuilding this engine, in addition to the stuff you've already seen of us tearing it down. Thanks again for watching.